Welcome again. Now, today we're going to talk about something related specifically to modern football, modern soccer, specifically the explanation through the eyes of how we learn it in tactical periodization with Professor Victor Frade. So we're going to talk about functional organization. So I have seen this a lot, especially in a lot of football, soccer commentators and journalists, and also new coaches when they ask which is the best formation or the best system, if it's for 1-4-3-3, 1-4-4-2, 1-3-5-2, 1-3-4-3, whatever, 1-4-2-3-1, whatever system or formation they're talking about. And this is to explain how really the numbers are really not such an important factor, or the formation, but rather the functional organization is really what is most important or has more relevance. So we understand that this is really much has a much higher weight as far as the importance and the relevance when we're talking about really training and playing as a team. No? So a brief explanation of what it is the right to. Before that, I want to put a quote. A famous Spanish coach. His name is Juan Malillo. Right now, he is the assistant coach of Guardiola in Manchester City, and he was made famous by a quote that he gave one day in a press conference, where he said that the right to give your opinion is a right that everyone has. It is unquestionable and unnegotiable. But this doesn't mean that all opinions are respectable. Some are, and some are not. So, in other words, what he means by this is that everybody talks about football or soccer. Okay, everybody gives their opinion, and it's okay that they do that. It's the right to give an opinion is perfect. It's unnegotiable. Everybody has it, and everyone can talk about it. But the thing most people don't realize, and most journalists don't realize, is that their opinions many times are not respectable. Sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't, because many times, or most of the times, they don't have the tools to really understand the game, the complexity, and to really begin to analyze something. You have to have elements, or else you will be just saying things that you really don't know what you're talking about. Like, for example, if I have my car and I go to my mechanic and I think it's something, although I have no idea what it is, and I tell him, hey, listen, I think this is the problem. And he might tell me, okay, the problem is not only maybe this, but it's rather another thing, or it could be many things. Okay, so in other words, everyone should have the right to give the opinion. Everyone has, but not all the opinions are respectable. Some are. I mean, sometimes it can be a shared truth, but most cases they are not, because most of the times journalists do not have the elements or the material, the tools to understand the complexity of the football match. And so we have to be very polite, and we always have to sometimes not say anything and just be sure of what we are seeing, or what the elements that we see and the complexity that we see. Now, as far as a structural functional organization, in tactical periodization, as far as we understand it, we see this football or the game as from a systemic point of view, from a point of view of complexity. So we have a lot of structures of the game, right? So in these structures of the game, we have the structure organization and the functional organization, which are are two different things, and they're gonna interact with the dynamics of the principles of the game and the principles of our model, okay, and the concepts and all this, right? All the information, okay? And this is gonna come out to the specific dynamics of the game. I'm going to translate this now. So the structure organization, in other words, is the numbers, the system, the lineup, or the starting formation. So someone might say, okay, my team plays 4-3-3, my team plays 4-4-2, or 4-2-3-1, or 3-5-2, 3-4-3, whatever system or formation or lineup you think your team should play, or it's the best way that they play, right? Now, these are the numbers, but really this is not so important, since the really important thing regarding this is the function organization, which are how the players are going to interact or move inside the system or formation according to their characteristics, traits, and attributes. So, and I'm going to give some example of this. And As an example, I'm going to quote a famous Argentinian coach who was a coach of Boca Juniors in Argentina, among other teams, and also national team of Argentina, Coco Basile, who said once in an interview, I place my players the best way on the pitch. The problem is that after the match begins, the footballers move. Okay, so this is what a perfect example, the difference between a structured organization and a functional organization. In other words, the systems that you can use are all going to depend if they're going to be more creative, more offensive, or more defensive on the functional organization, and not so much on the numbers, on the formation or the system or the starting lineup. Okay? And I'm going to use some examples of this. Okay? For example, and I'm going to use some examples, and this I can give hundreds. I'm just going to put 2 or 3. I want to use the example, for example, of a typical system of 1-3-5-2 or 5-3-2, however you want to call it. Okay, and I can use examples, for example, of the 2 wing players. Okay, the 2 backs on the sides that when they supposedly they are when they're attacking they're like playing like wings, and when they're defending they're playing like defenders, right? Backs. So, depending on the characteristics of these 2 players, for example, this will change the whole outcome of the formation or the system. For example, we can use a classic example is in Atletico Madrid, for example, they use this system, and we can use the same example with Chelsea. That sometimes they might use a 3-4-3 or also in the middle, but in the back it's the same thing. Okay, so depending on the 2 players on the wings that you're going to have, it's going to be either a more offensive, if of course you have control of the ball, control of the pace, the rhythm of the game, okay, it's going to be more offensive system formation, or it could be a more defensive if you have 2 defenders on the sides in blue, okay, it's the players that are in blue, and this can be added up to other positions, okay. So the structure really is not so important. The most important thing is the functional organization. So how these players, their characteristics, what are they like? Are they really offensive midfielders? Are they going to attack and when your team is in the offense in the last third, are they going to be near the opponent's goal, or are they going to stay all the way back and just maintain so they have good defensive balance? Okay, so this is the difference between the functional organization and the structure organization. Okay, the structure organization is the system, the numbers. This is not so important because this is going to depend on the characteristics of the players, your playing model, okay, and their traits, whatever good things they have and whatever bad things they have. Another example here that I placed was a 4-3-3, the team on the left, blue, with the 3 midfielders and the red in the middle, that if you put 3 center defensive midfielders, this is going to be a system actually that's quite defensive, because you're going to have, the team is probably going to be split in 2 when they attack. You're probably going to attack with 2 or 3 players, okay, the 3 on the front side, and the team is going to split probably in 2, but you're always going to have a balance of 7 players, okay. Now, if these 3 players, for example, you use this system like typical Barcelona used to play with Guardiola, for example, with 1 holding midfielder, 2 offensive midfielders like Iniesta and Xavi, and the fullbacks also offensive, okay, like for example Dani Alves or whoever was playing on the left, like Jorginho, whoever. These players would constantly attack, so it would be a very offensive formation, offensive system, offensive structure. Now, if you modify this with different characteristics on each position, this system will be totally different. This structure will be totally different. Same thing on the left. If you use, for example, 4-2-3-1, the green team, if you use the 3 players behind the forward, okay, there are 3 players that have defensive characteristics, this system, this formation, this structure will be very defensive. Now, if you use players that have very offensive characteristics, and for example, the fullbacks also attack, it can be very offensive. So, in other words, what I wanted to make clear is that there is no structural organization or system that is better or worse than another. It will depend on the system or the structure that you're going to use according to the characteristics of the players, according to your model, according to your strategy, and according to the opponent's strategy. All these factors are going to play and are going to add up to see what system you should apply or should use. Okay, so I wanted to do a video for a long time because I see this a lot in journalists and football commentators, and this is something that I always think about when I see this, and I think it's really rather important, especially for the young coaches or ones that are just starting out and don't have maybe a lot of experience or maybe haven't played a lot. This is really what it is about. Okay, so there is no system that's better than another one. They're all just different, and this will depend on what you're looking for as far as characteristics to make the best players to strengthen the best characteristics of your best players. Okay, so this is the main idea. The system that you choose will depend on this, and it depend, of course, on how you feel more comfortable, and the players, of course, how they feel more comfortable. Okay, as I said before, please like, share, and subscribe so I can keep up maintaining and coming up more material, more videos related to football tactics and training. Okay, I hope to see you again. Take care. Bye bye.